It's the midweek edition of our program Summit. Good morning and you're welcome to a fresh edition of the program Summit. The way we do it today is even going to be a much bumper package. Of course, the news headlines. Almost all the newspapers in the country have the headlines of the judgment of the last presidential elections. And the actors in the middle, at the center of the judgment, are the current president and the major challenger, the main challenger, that is the suit challenging eligibility, suitability of our president, President Muhammadu Buhari, to actually contest the elections. The fate, they will know their fate today. About now, judgment is being given in the city of Abuja. Maybe before this program winds up, you get to know what actually transpired. Or even about now, maybe they already know their fate. I don't know yet. Of course, I would have given it to you hot and fresh. My name is Banji Busari. We'll go on a short break now. When we return, we're going to look at the issue, of course, 100 days after inauguration. We'd like to have an attempt at a review, both at the federal and the state levels. What has actually happened? Have we actually had governance or politicking as usual? That's the focus today on this edition of Summit. I'll see you after the break.
I just want your papers, please.
Sir.
Yes, so and Monte never even reach chef. My salary plenty, oh. No wonder I no gree collect roja from my hand. Shut up, sir. I'm here to bail my younger brother.
Happen.
With good laws,
proper funding,
Training.
and cooperation.
If it happen.
Well, a state summit before I actually launch the topic and bring our guest on. Let me quickly let you know that the opportunity still exists at University Access Center, where there are invitations for students between the AJS and SS classes to actually take advantage of a free, or let me say, scholarship opportunity in the Nigerian, European, and American universities. And it's for free, as those desiring to study on scholarship in UK, US, Europe, Canada, Nigeria. To call on the CEO of University Access Center, located at number 17, Toyin Street, Ikeja. And the number to call is 080-2324-9654. Again, 2324-9654. That's the University Access Center. And again, those students currently undergoing UTME exams and need advice, need how to actually go about it to ensure that they gain admission to our Nigerian universities. Or those who, like I said earlier, who want to seek scholarship, those that are seeking scholarship abroad, can get better guidance through consultations with the CEO, University Access Center, Dr. Peter Ogudoro. His office is located at 17 Toyin Street, Ikeja. And the number to call is 080-2324-9654. Again, 080-2324-9654. University Access Center is one-stop center, one-stop shop that actually provides every consultancy you require about university education. Take advantage of this and you'll not regret it. We'll go on a short break again. When we return, we'll actually be discussing our issue for the day. That is 100 days since May 29. Some state governors have actually rolled out the drums, celebrating their modest achievements in the last 100 days. Even at the federal level, our president has actually named a couple of projects he has actually embarked on in the last 100 days. But of course, it behoves of us to actually look back, do a kind of review on what has actually been achieved and whether the focus is the right one for us as a nation. We go on a short break. When we return, we'll be discussing all of this.
I just want your papers, please.
Sir.
Salary don't enter. Yes, so. And month end never even reach sef. Na salary plenty, oh. No wonder I no gree collect Roger from my hand. Shut up, sir.
I'm here to bail my younger brother.
Happen.
With good laws,
proper funding,
Training.
and cooperation.
If it happen.
Oh, yes, you're welcome back. It's still Summit. My guest is here. No other person than Mr. Jide Ologun, an attorney at law, a public affairs analyst, and a PR guru. I won't forget to actually mention that because that's actually our first contact. That's where we got to know. Like I said earlier, let me not skip a very important aspect. You're welcome, sir.
Good morning, sir.
And I must actually share this with our viewers. Barrister Ologun has actually been very wonderful. And you would think he has a stake, a very big stake here, as if he's a shareholder in Summit at a very short notice. He's here. We want to commend you and thank you sincerely.
Thank you.
I was even asking whether we are not abusing this relationship.
We are on duty.
Thank you very much. Sincerely appreciate.
Thank God, sir.
You're welcome to Summit, sir.
Thank you.
About now, judgment is actually being given in Abuja of FCT concerning the suit challenging the eligibility of our President Muhammadu Buhari. That's regarding the last presidential elections. And they will know both parties, APC and PDP. That's the APC and the the PDP, both of them are very hopeful of victory at today's tribunal. Do you have the news yet?
The news is not out yet, but what I know is that quite a number of Nigerians are tilting towards a particular, school of thought, which many expect should be the outcome. But for the posterity's sake, I believe that justice should always be allowed to prevail, because judgment can only reflect justice or injustice. And from all that has been presented before the tribunal, we expect that justice will proceed. But several issues have been thrown into the air in the course of the proceedings, including the academic qualification of the president-elect, the issue of citizenship of
He's no longer president-elect. He's the president of this country.
In the eyes of the tribunal, because there's still a challenge in court. I mean...
But he's been wearing the toga of the president
but
since May. He was sworn in, sir.
If he turns around...
He was sworn in.
Yes,
I'm not saying it cannot be reversed, but I'm saying he is no longer president-elect.
Legalistically speaking, really, and I think we also need to amend our procedures to reflect the fact that until all issues are cleared concerning electoral matters, that probably the victors should not be sworn in, because you see situations now where a senator who has settled down in the House of Senate has been denied that seat. So what happens to all the allowances and all those things? And of course, and again, do we come to the level where we bring in sanctions that, okay, if we find that you have wrongfully attained office, you should be punished for it? Because the people are the ones paying all these things.
Who should be punished for it?
The candidates. If, for
not
instance,
INEC.
I think that
Could
is
the candidate have actually put himself there?
That is by extension. We have said,
so how could they?
We have said frequently that we need to upscale our systemic
electoral
operations. But then, for candidates, I think there should be sanctions.
Really?
Exactly. Because, and like you rightly mentioned now, dealing with INEC as an institution may not be as easy as going after individuals.
So what
because for me, as a Nigerian, I monitor the last elections, and all the electoral offenses appear to have been committed. But what have we done? Snatching of ballot boxes, even when the president came out at the time to disclose that those who snatch ballot boxes may have to pay with their lives, and we found a way of managing that expression. People snatch ballot boxes, we saw videos and everything. What has happened to them? So we need to come to the point where our driving force is justice. And justice is the fountain of peace and prosperity.
I'm happy you actually refer to the cases of the tribunal regarding the senatorial seats. So far, would you say justice has been eluding us?
If you look at the resultant product of governance in Nigeria...
No, I'm talking about the tribunal sittings regarding the judgment concerning... we know that the spokesperson for APC in the Senate lost his seat, Adeyeye, and they went to Lujimi. And in that case, would you still have any doubt that the tribunal would do the right thing?
Each case is treated on its merits. So we say in law. So it depends on the facts that have been presented before the tribunal. And this case of justice also is relative. The winner, we always claim that justice has been done, and the loser, we always reflect the fact that justice has been denied. But I am referring to the justice to the people, having a better environment and coming up with a system that is preventive. For example, I expect that the issues of certificate of qualification should have been sorted out at the primary stage, so that we don't encumber the system with all the, how many matters that came before the tribunal post-election. So that's what I'm saying, to have very effective system in place, and that is the responsibility.
When the result is out, when the judgment is given today, would you have any cause to think of the fact that justice did not actually...
As far as I am concerned,
Whichever way
I'm
it goes.
not an active politician, like I said, but I'm just advising all those who have the privilege. When you have the opportunity of dispensing justice, stand on the side of justice, because whether you like it or not, you will leave office someday.
Now you're talking
And
to
even
the
if
judiciary now.
is talking about the judiciary right now. And beyond the victory or absence of victory on the part of those who came before the tribunal, when you are victorious, how do you diligently serve the people?
Okay, that's
so that we can know that this victory is a deserved victory, for instance, and that is what we are clamoring for in under the platform of national development advocacy. Even when we have the courts are there, the
these are
tribunals...
two different issues, sir. Because that somebody actually won an election, whether legally or illegally, does not actually translate into quality service. That's a post-election now. You and I are aware of the case of Dr. Chris Ngige, who was actually removed, so to speak, from office. That's after the court's injunctions and all that. 3 years or 3.5 years after his election. And if you go to ask an average Anambra person, they will tell you he did perform creditably well. But then can you reconcile the fact that his elections was flawed, yet he's somebody who performed?
I can reconcile it by bringing the template of the United Kingdom. When the former governor of Delta State was prosecuted in the UK, some friends and well-wishers went to the court to give testimonies of how he built Olympic-sized stadium in Delta State, how he did well to the people. But the judge said that the business of the court was not to assess the performance in office, but to jail him for specific crime. So these are different issues. And of course, justice, right motive are the foundational justification for whatever you have done. And that is why and when you can have a system that will be effective. Okay. All right, so because we should move beyond the end justify the means. The means also is like now claiming, a kidnapper is so wealthy and he's doing well for the society. But
in the case of Adini, you recall the case of Adini?
Exactly. Even the case of Wadume in Taraba State right now. Some community people are almost weeping that he's been nice to them, generous, philanthropist and things like that. But then if you look at the fountain of that wealth, it's a fountain that is bloody by allegations, because as we speak right now also, under the virtue of presumption of innocence, he is still an accused person, despite all those practical confessions and things like that. And that's why some of us are saying, can we have a system that can hold you to accountability and will not be subject to different forms of manipulation at the societal level? And that is why people may become afraid of the legal system, of the procedures, and rather not go into it, hoping that when we get there, we know what to do. So everyone should be subject to the laws of the land. And
all right. 100 days after those who won elections by May 29, 100 days after they've been sworn in, some of them have actually come out to roll out drums to celebrate their achievements, modestly or otherwise. Some have even said they exceeded expectations. Now, what's your assessment? Let's start from the federal level. What's your assessment of this first 100 days? One, the ritual of coming out to say, I've done this in the first 100 days. One, is it justifiable? Is it? Some people say it's too early. Some people say it's not really, it's like distraction. But in the real sense of it, what's your thought about the first 100 days concerning President Muhammadu Buhari?
In 1945, Peter Drucker came up with a management concept called management by objective. And under this, template, you need to set SMART goals. And what are these SMART goals? Goals that are specific, that are measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. And measurement is quite important. So if in 100 days we are measuring, I subscribe to that. If not, you will find time being wasted. And laying claim to what has been achieved is not as important as people endorsing what has been done in terms of how they have benefited. All right. In respect of the federal government, I know that the Germany government through the Siemens came seeking to collaborate with us in the area of boosting our megawatt capacity in Nigeria, electricity. And that has been broken down to 2022, then 21 and 2023. Fine. If we have testimonies now that the power supply has improved, that is a good one for the federal government. And some can tell you that has happened. I know a community in Lagos that they now enjoy constant power supply, but that was not without going into a special arrangement with a distribution company. Then we now come to health sector. So it's really not about you, even though you need to showcase what you have achieved. It's about the beneficiaries coming out to say, no. In this space of time, these are the changes we have noticed. And in some states, for instance, I read a bit of what the governor of Oyo State has achieved in 100 days, and it's quite remarkable, reportedly. And for Ogun State governor also, the solar project, the attempt to start creating jobs and engaging the youth, and all those things. And at the federal level also, which is close to me, my jurisdiction, the reconstruction of the Baga and Kara end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is going on. Some of the things we can see. And these things should be sustained. So on the culture of measuring performance, it is very critical, because if you cannot measure it, then how can you carry out your returns on investment? But more can be done. And again, let's look at the area of insecurity. Okay. I think that is a place where we don't have a good story to write, because there was still a report last week which echoed again, I think this morning, that about 1,460 persons were killed within 7 months.
Sorry.
Yes, within 7 months. That is mind-boggling, because if you divide 1,460 by 7, it gives you 208 persons per month. It's quite disturbing. And we have read reports where the army overran Boko Haram, and of course where Boko Haram also attacked convoy of the military, took away ammunitions. And this thing, we must go headlong to create a peaceful environment. And of course, again, talking about insecurity, the president just expressed the fact that Boko Haram has been defeated, that those who are operating now are bandits. Whether they are bandits or not, they are destructive elements. And we have also read reports where governor is romancing ex-bandits, trying to incorporate them into the security system. We have read reports of where some military officers facilitated the escape of a kidnapper and killed highly trained policemen. So we need to balance all this. We have also read the account of a soldier who went robbing with a gun given to him, and he said, what did they expect him to do with gun without being paid salaries for his job? So when we bring all this together, and when you go to the area of the economy, there's still hunger in the land. Within the first 100 days, the president said we now had food security, and some of us disagreed with that. And within weeks of that pronouncement, we came up with statistics of malnourishing encounters in Nigeria. And within the framework of the 100 days also, we had the land borders with Benin Republic shut down to prevent importation of food items, which also has, generated into bringing down the price of fuel, because the smugglers can no longer have freedom. So a lot of things have happened. But the big question is that in the context of developing the country, Are we making positive steps? Because if you bring in the aspect of the proposed budget for 2020, capital expenditure is to be about 2 trillion naira. Recurrent expenditure is to rise higher. And that is worrisome. We need to invest on infrastructure and empowering the future economy of this country as against recurrent expenditure. If we have been doing that peradventure in the past, by now the 6 trillion naira we have wasted on fuel subsidy by importing fuel into the country will not have been wasted in 6 years. And that 6 trillion naira is almost close to the budget of 2019. So when you look at all this, and within the 100 days also, we have had the xenophobia attack case, and there is an insinuation from a quarter that Nigeria could not decisively deal with that case because South Africa is a major purchaser of our crude oil. So there are several undertones, but we need to establish ourselves as a nation that is strong. You see what Donald Trump of America is doing to China. The man is really bringing China to her knees. And that is one of the issues that came up with this 100 days. Some are beginning to say we have been enslaved economically by China because we have borrowed so much. The World Bank and China are on the top of the list when it comes to those we are owing. And some people are asking, who's going to pay back this debt? Because as we are in this studio now, the indebtedness of my nation is about 25 trillion naira. So when you bring all this together, I think we still have a lot to pay attention to.
In the wake of the rising cases of insecurity in the Southwest, the governors of this region actually came together. Maybe something unprecedented. We've never seen them come together to discuss collectively the issue of security in that zone. What's your rating? What's your assessment? How much progress do you think has been made in this last 100 days? Do you think they're actually serious? Have you seen anything on ground to actually determine that they meant well and they're actually on track?
Yes, I must commend that effort, though some of us have been calling for this for years.
You're welcome back. Sorry for that short break in transmission. You were talking about the insecurity in the Southwest and the efforts of the governors of Southwest.
Yes, I'm quite impressed by what they have done, but I said that some of us expected that to have been done at the earlier stage, and since we are talking about Southwest, permit me to bring in an adage of the elder with due respect, that if you don't tame the Iroko tree when it is young, you will have to worship it when it grows old. And I think that is the case of Southwest. Some of us have been calling the major stakeholders to show their influence in preventing the avalanche of insecurity some of us saw coming. And thank God for what has been done. Some governors have empowered the security agents. Some have engaged the use of
You saw what Ogun State governor did?
Exactly, drones, technology. They've gone to the federal government to negotiate stronger presence. But I have a caution, because in 1979, public relations practitioners came together and made a statement and trying to define public relations as the art and social science of monitoring trends, predicting their consequences, and suggesting what can be done to prevent embarrassment and bring mutual benefits to stakeholders. I have seen a danger which we must point out as a matter of truth. You know that the Ruga project was introduced, and there were resistance from those who felt, no, we can see something deeper than what we are seeing on the surface. Right now, policemen are being sent out to some regions. It's dangerous. I traveled to Ondo town. The number of checkpoints I passed through, it was amazing. Try to come down from Ilorin and things like that. So we need to watch it. We are not in a war situation. We must come to the point where the sense of security is more pronounced than sense of insecurity. Because what happened was a declaration that the Ruga project has been suspended. And some of us who delight in the English language know that suspension is just suspension. So there are several other approaches.
You can revisit.
We must come to the point in this country when the sense of unity prevails, when the zeal to develop every sector of our political, economic, and social life is driven by those who are given the responsibility. All right, so but having said that, I also want to challenge the leadership of Southwest. There was a time in this country when the country benefited so much from agriculture, and that is why I may be happy that the federal government is now out to deduct the bailout fund from
and
source.
it's commencing this month.
And that will challenge the leaders to become resourceful in managing our resources. And while negotiating all these things, we must bring the interests of the people to the front burner. For example, some things must be negotiated off and legislated off the exclusive legislative list, like the management of resources within regions. You see, and you also know that there is a battle now on the taking over the waterways and things like that. So we must drive the processes in a way that we maximize our potential as a great nation.
All right, sir. Thank you. We actually let our viewers know that they can also be part of this program. I mean, their contribution is about you. 100 days of governance in your area, in your state, even if at the federal level. In what way has it actually impacted? I would like you to call on to this line. I mean, not to call. Send text messages only to 070-5221-2592. Again, 070-5221-2592. Again, let me quickly dash to University Access Center. University Access Center is at 17 Toyin Street, Ikeja, where the owners are actually calling on students between GS and SS classes to take advantage of a consultancy service that will fetch them scholarship in the UK, US, and the Nigerian universities. And the number to call is 080-2324-9654. That's you can also log into their website. I'll get the website and actually give it to you. The website is on the screen. That's 17 Toyin Street, Ikeja, University Access Center for JS to SS3 students desiring to study on scholarship in UK, US, Europe, Canada, Nigeria, and other places and in the world. So take advantage. Call Dr. Peter Ogudoro, the CEO, University Access Center, on 080-2324-9654. Now, the number to call on the program to participate is 070-5221-2592. Now, I was going to talk about today the first batch of our nationals from South Africa would actually be landing, that they'll be coming to Nigeria by 2 p.m. Now, about 640 of them. Now, we were already complaining about our economy. These ones are, the federal government has actually rolled out plans to receive them, to integrate them. Now, how does this actually impact again? I want you to look at the economy generally. Do you think we're actually on the right course to actually take care of our people? Because the issue has always been that we are holding the shorter end of the stick in the case of South Africa because our economy is in bad shape. So our nationals are forced to quit and they have no choice but to remain there. Even as we speak, some Nigerians have refused to take advantage of this offer by Air Peace to return home. Yeah. If Nigeria had offered some people, would they have stayed put? I want you to look at this.
Can I quote you that our economy is in bad shape? Some are not admitting that. I think this is a brilliant opportunity for Nigeria. Now, for one reason or the other, your children ran away and you probably felt a sense of relief. But they are coming back. They are your children. You must provide for them. Wherever the pasture appears to be greener, it's because the people there water the pasture. So you cannot run away from what you must deal with. And that is why some of us talk about fundamental issues. I just made reference to the case of our budget. Let's assume that since 2015, let's embark on a short-term analysis based on the promise of change, that we started building modular refineries like some. We debated it so much then. And by now, in 20 out of the 36 states in the country, we have modular refineries. Do you know the number of those who have been employed? You know the number of products, because even our crude oil that we export for refining out there, we only get part of the finished products. And the economy there is empowered. They create employment for their citizens. And let's assume that by now, the electricity in Nigeria has been fixed and people can set up businesses. Some of these Nigerians who go abroad do not necessarily work with the government there. They set up their businesses, they trade, the infrastructure support is there. It's not as if the economy of South Africa is so fantastic, which is an African issue also. So if you have that assimilative environment that is enabling, I mean, who wants to travel out of this country out of desperation? So I think right now, the government should look beyond this political muscle flexing, regional muscle flexing, and begin to develop this country. Some things we said are beginning to happen. We are not prophesying any doom, but principles are principles. Principles will work themselves out. I've always said that insecurity of one is the insecurity of all. Recently in Ekiti State, students rose up and attacked the convoy of the First Lady.
Yesterday.
You see, we are coming to that. If you don't engage your citizens positively and effectively, everyone is threatened.
But were they justifiable? These are university students.
You see, sir, you talk
now,
about...
when you say they are not justifiably engaged, I mean, or usefully or productively engaged, these ones are undergraduates. What excuses would they have to take laws into their hands?
They are complaining about infrastructural stress. I can feel it. Let's do an analysis here now. I thank God for his grace of blessing. But let's assume I earn minimum wage, which we are even still debating in Nigeria, which is 30,000 naira. And I must buy fuel in my generator every day at home. We are not even talking of the workplace. And I spend 1,000 naira on fuel every day. In 30 days, that is 30,000 naira. That means my minimum wage salary can only handle the generator part of my life. And you are now talking of students. We all know what is happening. They are traumatized. What attention have we paid to schools? Recently, there was a report on the very shoddy and shameful situation of our primary schools. What attention have we paid to education? You see, these things are realities. In those days of Nigeria, at least I witnessed part of it. Before you graduate, job offers will be brought to you on
That's
campus.
when you were talking of a population less than 100.
Forget about population, sir. Wise people project ahead. Definitely, wise people project ahead. There are about 300 million cows in India, more than the population of Nigeria. The places we run to.